11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. What a fight! I think Guerrero won it.
Juan, the Hispanic causing panic, Lascano.
Thanks to those joining us live and those that'll be joining us on the archive. I'm joined by the one and the only Cali X Boxing. How's it going, Calix?
The one and the only. I'm ready.
Right. And of
big card this weekend.
100%. And of course, I'm a D style. Shout out to Broondog in the chat and Nando in the chat and all that good stuff. You know, Nando always the hard-working man.
I'm a hard-working man.
Listening while he's on a job. Okay, shout out to everybody out there. Shit Cunningham once again showing up to show support for Calix in specific. Calix called Saudi Arabian ICE to deport Kid Austin. But, you know, I don't know what's up with that, but we're going to touch on that. I have a lot to say about that, but first, Keyshawn Davis just put the beat down on Brandon. That was more one-sided than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I thought it would be – I picked Keyshawn to win, but I thought it would be a much tougher fight. Even though I had him winning like a wide decision, but that was just scary easy. And it makes you wonder, like, could this guy potentially – I'm just going to put it out there. Could he potentially be right now the best lightweight in the world?
Right now, I think it's a little premature.
I mean,
I don't know, man. Like people talk about.
Would you pick up Lomachenko against him?
I don't know. Probably not, because I don't know what Lomachenko I'm getting at this point. So this is the problem with the lightweight division right now. I feel like this is a lightweight division for a while now. There are names there. There are guys who potentially look great, but it doesn't end up materializing, right? So, in other words, Lomachenko has been sort of for the past 7-8 years, however long at the lightweight division, has been the one that's been consistently fighting the top competition within the division or wanting to. We know Tank doesn't fight the competition, and he's openly saying, I'm not going to fight the competition. So you kind of dismiss that, and that's a name. It's a guy who looks good, but once again, it's a champion not fighting other champions or not willing to. Keyshawn Shakur Stevenson, we see what's happening with him, right? He seems to be bit by bad luck, and some of this is his own doing as well, in that he's not putting on great performances when he is in the ring. So you see, will that develop? Is he becoming one of the most avoided fighters in the sport? Yes, that's true as well. William Zepeda is not doing much to put pressure on these guys. So Keyshawn Davis seems to be the bright spot in that he seems to want to fight the top competition, but time will tell. He's a champion now, so will he behave like a champion? We'll have to see over time. I just hope they keep him busy. He didn't take any damage. Put him back in there in May and June. Don't wait around. Don't do this thing where I can't pay him the minimum. And, you know, if that's the problem, you take less. And I understand people aren't going to like me saying that, but if it means taking less money to fight in May and June just to get back in the ring and become a superstar, they have to get this guy, continue to have this guy fighting quarterly in that Northeast corridor.
Look, in the tech industry, they value data over the quick buck, right? In other industries, there's certain things that are valued because in the long run, it's going to make you more money, right? In boxing, they should value activity. That they should there's value in having your face out there more and fighting more often, because historically, when you look at the non-subsidized fighters, I'm not talking about fighters that are subsidized. I'm talking about fighters historically. They took, if you want to call it a pay cut, okay, for smaller fights to keep their name out there, right? But that helped their profile, and therefore they made bigger money when the time was right. So that's just the way it was, and I think that's where the minimum is kind of it's hurting us as fans, because we don't get these guys as often, and that matters to me the most, right? But I do think it hurts fighters to a certain degree as well, and people can't seem to grasp that. They just see it as, oh, you want to take a pay cut, you're anti-fighter. Oh, would you do that at your job? They kind of have that mentality, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you work a 9 to 5. A boxer isn't a 9 to 5 job, guys. All right, it's not the same thing. We're not.
They always look at it like they always give these examples as if these guys are employees, and then they say, "Oh, be your own boss." And these guys are their careers are like small businesses. Okay, then run it like a small business. Then I can tell that the people who say this stuff have no experience actually running businesses.
Look, sometimes you gotta make certain moves, right? Like there's a time of year that it's in my brother's business isn't as busy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to keep the name of his business and to grow clients, right? He has to he has to offer things at a lower price, right? Than he wants to, right? At a certain part of the year. But guess what? His clientele increases in the process, right?
Yeah.
It's better than just sitting at home not doing nothing, because I'm not going to work for any minimum than this, and that is that, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you do that, there's going to be an effect to it, right? So it's just what it is. But one thing about Keyshawn, and not that I want to breeze through it, but we have a big, massive card that I want to talk about, and I was very impressed with the body work. I was completely impressed by it, and look. Do you think this was more this kid's the truth, right? Or Baranchik was overrated? How would you grade this? Like, how much of a percentage would you put? Like, I would say it's about 70-30 for me.
Well, I don't know if Baranchik was overrated in that. I think the betting odds had this pegged, right? So he was, Keyshawn was a minus 750 favorite. So they gave him it was what it was. It was sort of a mismatch, right? But where he overexceeded expectations, even against what I would call Baranchik, one of the weaker champions in the sport, one of the weakest champions in the sport at the time. Where he overexceeded is the betting odds had him as the favorite to win by decision. It was minus 110 decision, plus 175 by knockout. So when people were talking about this fight, it's not will Keyshawn win? It was will he get the late stoppage, or will it be decision? That's what everybody was wrestling with because of Baranchik's toughness, right? He's limited, but he is a tough fighter. He's not used to losing. Great amateur experience. So we did not expect Keyshawn Davis to go in there and run through him in 4 rounds. So in that instance, we have to give Keyshawn credit that maybe he's better than we expected, or maybe he's better than we saw up to this point. Once again, though, this is where they mess up. This is where they mess up is they got the championship. They got the championship in 13 fights. Will you become stagnant now? Will you talk your way out of fights and play this A-side game to where, oh, I'm worth more than that, and then all of a sudden you're not fighting till December? Get back in there. Get back in there. None of these guys are close to being stars. None of these guys are even remotely close to being a superstar. So get back in there. Don't act like you're above fighting some regular guy that you're a 20-1 favorite against in May, June. Just get back in there until the unifications come to you.
I agree with that. Shout out to Daisy Sanchez Nando in the chat. DH says they are 2 different sizes. I think he's referring to the fight. The Keyshawn being a lot bigger. Boxing for Life saying Virgil by stoppage. We're definitely going to get to that fight. Drunk Irishman, how's it going? And man, a lot of things to touch on here. One thing, Nando saying Baranchik had the same odds as Schofield versus Shakur did. Think about that. Interesting. All I'll say, Calix, is that looking what I saw, he should have been like a 20-1 underdog. Like it's from what I saw, right? But it just is what it is. So, any shame we didn't start with a women's boxing talk. Any women's
Good. No.
boxing world talk that
No.
thing that you want to put out there so
No.
it could be so we
No.
could be like, we don't want to be machismos over here, like, you know what I mean? Like machistas, like we want to be, no, nothing.
Nothing. I
It's
got
just
nothing.
yeah,
I got nothing.
yeah, well, I'll say something in a moment, but Mr. T, Honduran kingpin Cali X Boxing sent his best assassin, Steve Wapa Kim, to tank Kid Austin's oil with the extra strength Diddy oil. Get down or lay down. Did you do that, Calix?
I did not. I'm baffled by that whole situation. I got nothing to do with it. I've got nothing to do with that.
Something told me you wanted to be part of something more controversial than the red paint, and you wanted to outdo it. Like, something's telling me that's what's going on here, right?
Yeah, that's it.
And not to bring up the red paint, but we do need to bring up women's boxing to some degree, right? So, look, we've had in the last several months, we've had red paint, right? Red paint gate. I mean, we've had a racist basket gate. Okay, we've had. Hey, Bomac, tell us about your Cheeto picture gate, right?
We had Shakur Stevenson has the grip strength of a 20 to 24-year-old woman gate.
There's that, but remember, he prefaced it with, "I have a hand injury." Okay, now he could have used his other hand, but I don't know. Like it's not a great excuse. You can use your other hand, right? But whatever. And then of course now we have Poison-gate. Galax. And shout out to the women. We did bring up women's boxing. There you go. Right. But Poison-gate. And Calix brought up women by bringing up the grip strength of Shakur Stevens. Right. Just to be inclusive. But can you give us your thoughts on Poison-gate? First it was Snack. Right. Victor Conte's Snack were behind it. And then
everything's Snack's fault now. But
in fairness, he took it back and said, "Oh, they have nothing to do with it. Why are you guys going at them?" Well, maybe because you mentioned them, so your sycophants went at them, right? But here's the other thing. But now it's Eddie Hearn. Oh, the promoter. You got to go to the promoter. You know what I mean? And karma's a bitch, and we live in a spiritual world, Eddie. So you better watch out, he said. So what do you think? Was he poisoned?
Remember, like, this is where we've gone now with content creators too. And I feel like a lot of these teams, they're listening too much to content creators and they're starting to run with some of these theories in order to possibly get out of some of these fights. Remember when there was that rumor going around that they were trying to spread after the Tank versus Ryan face off, to where Bernard and his team, they got way too close to Tank and they touched Tank. And since they touched Tank, I think they rubbed cream on Tank so Tank could I think they rubbed some cream on Tank to where he could fail a drug test. Remember that? Like, and this is another one of those things. The sad part about this to me is y'all were ahead of the curve on Floyd Schofield. Remember when y'all were interviewing him? He was like 15.
Look, here's the deal, bro. HCP was the first show ever that Schofield was interviewed on. He was 18 years old. Okay, he was working with Amy Green at the time. I noticed the kid because I saw like a clip on Facebook, and his publicist at that time had shared it, and I reached out. This is before anybody even knew who Schofield was, right? He had like one fight, right? And I said, "Hey, this kid looks like he's got some talent here, right?" And she said, "He's 18. I'm 18, right?" And I asked, "Hey, you want to bring him on?" And at the time, it was a completely different story. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but his parents were involved in the interviews back then, right? But what was refreshing about him, he seemed like a good kid. He seemed, and he still does. That's the sad part about it. If you listen to a Floyd Schofield interview, level-headed,
Yeah.
Seems mature. Still to this day, he was doing interviews out there a couple days ago, and just the same thing. He seems like a likable guy, a likable dude, but something's off with the team. And we can talk about dads being around these teams and these dads, man. Like, good Lord, some of these dads are crackpots, and they seem to get in the way of the momentum of their child's career. And this seems like it's maybe one of those cases. Something's off with that team because he's too level-headed of a dude. He doesn't seem like a dude that would duck anybody. He seems like a dude who would want these fights. He seems like a dude who has belief in his ability. So he doesn't seem like a dude to me that would fake a poisoning. It's got to be coming from somebody else around him. And I don't know what's going on with this situation. It's off. It's off. And this is another thing I'll say, and I heard Ring IQ say this earlier, and it was my thoughts yesterday when this happened. Golden Boy and their fighters. We're not even in this situation if William Zepeda does his job as a fighter. I look, man, and it kills me to say, this has been my favorite fighter for a couple of years now, William Zepeda. It kills me to say this, and I've been saying it for a while now. We're not even in this situation if William Zepeda does his job as a fighter and takes the fights. It should be William Zepeda in the ring with Shakur Stevenson. We shouldn't have William Zepeda saying things like, oh, my wife is having a baby, so, I can't fight Shakur Stevenson because my wife had a baby, but I can fight Tevin Farmer because my wife had a baby. So then he fights Tevin Farmer. He struggles, and now we're doing a Tevin Farmer rematch. The title fight should have been next. Why is this dude not fighting title fights when he's at the top of every sanctioning body rankings? It should be William Zepeda fighting these fights. We need to be directing anger towards them. And why is Golden Boy holding some of their fighters back? Why is Golden Boy having problems with some of these teams with these fighters? Oscar De La Hoya should be doing less of, I don't know, and Canelo, and oh my God, Canelo, and Diva era. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. He should be doing less of that. Canelo has done enough in his career at this point. Canelo has fought the fights. It's not Canelo's problem that these fighters are divas. It's not his issue. He didn't do this. All right. Pay attention to yourself, look in the mirror, and get some of your fighters in better fights. Step up the competition. Have your fighters behave like you behaved as a fighter. And this is the same criticism I gave of Floyd and his fighters. You should not be directing these guys around the tough fights. You fought the tough fights. Oscar fought the tough fights. Their fighters should be fighting the tough fights in order to become stars. William Zepeda should be in this fight. He should not be fighting Tevin damn Farmer in a rematch. Nobody cares about that fight. Why are we wasting these fights? Why are we wasting these fighters' athletic prime? It should be William Zepeda in this fight. Now we're in this mess because it looks like Floyd Schofield talked himself into a fight that maybe they didn't want any part of to begin with, and they got trapped.
I have some thoughts on that for sure. And look, Nando, who's that is the biggest helicopter parent? Haney, Lopez, or Schofield? Man, that is a close race. I'll tell you that. All right.
Helicopter dads. That's what we call them in the basketball world too. They're all trust the coaches.
Look, I've seen a lot of these parents at like, you know what I mean, at like little league soccer games, and I've seen them at like a lot of sporting events, and they go viral because they're yelling at referees at fucking like little kid games, bro. Right? So it just is what it is, but. I mean, we never hear this shit from Inoue. Is that? You know what I mean?
Man, that nigga was that Japanese guy was in shape.
Let's not blame all the dads. You know, not all the dads are like that. You know, Calix is a dad. He's not like that. You know what I mean? Calix doesn't yell at people for dunking on his kid. He dunks it on his kid.
That's right. And look, let me tell you this. Shakur runs the whole time, and I understand why these fighters, that doesn't fly, fellas. When you're at the top of the rankings for a while and it's your time to fight the fight, you got to fight the fight. I don't care if this guy runs around the ring like Usain Bolt. You got to get in there and make him stop running. I understand. Look, when this happened yesterday, part of
Yeah.
me, D-Style was like, just cancel the fight. I don't need to see Shakur against a late tune-up fight to take up an extra hour block on this card, right? I don't need to
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
I do understand the Saudis though getting the late replacement because Shakur does need to fight. He's got to
Yeah,
fight.
for sure.
He's got to fight.
100%. Now, Shit Kanyam says Sakur Zepeda is going to happen on that Canelo Crawford undercard. He says, well, that'll be interesting. I hope so. Aztec 101 says exactly. Chavez Senior doesn't even like his son. I mean, who would? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying. But shout out to him. He tries. I'll give him that. Senior tries. He's tried very, very hard. But it is what it is. So. And by the way, shout out to everybody tuning in. By the way, make sure you guys hit the like button. If you haven't already, hit the like button. It helps support the show and it helps everybody, you know what I mean? And all that good stuff. So here's what I've been hearing, right? Schofield hasn't, like, he didn't show up to the press conference in London for the fight. There was already questions about his weight on the lead up to the fight. But I actually think Shakur's wrong. Shakur's saying, "Oh, I think he struggled to make weight," and then, which maybe that's partially true, but I don't know, man. Like there's just something weird about this. I saw like somebody on social media say this, and they said, "You know what? Like Alshador didn't even want this fight, you know, and now this is happening, right? It's just like it's just too big of a coincidence to a certain degree." And I don't know, man. When like, did you hear some of the ridiculous shit they were saying on the lead up to this fight? They sent SWAT teams, and they said, "Oh no, we were just trolling because he trolls." Like, a lot of stuff just didn't add up to me.
Oh, it's confusing.
It's confusing, and maybe the truth isn't even that juicy of a story. Maybe he just got sick because he couldn't make the weight, and so they canceled the fight.
And that could be it, D-Style, but this is the problem. When you're doing that type of talking, you bring attention to things to where people on fight week are wondering, is this guy going to go through with the fight? So if you do get sick, maybe he just got sick. If that does happen and you're hospitalized, then it's going to bring more attention to it, number one. And number two, his dad's still out there. Like, oh my God, pray for my son. He's in the hospital. It looks like he's dying from the video he sent. So it's just weird. Something's off with that team.
Well, I think his son was just asleep because people eventually have to sleep at a hospital, right? I think that's what it was, bro. I think, no, like, if you were in the hospital for 24 hours, you're going to fall asleep at some point, right?
Remember when Oscar got COVID and he took that picture? He was like he was.
Look, I feel bad because look, this my channel, it was the first channel that brought on Kid Schofield, interviewed him about 3 or 4 times,
and he seems like he still seems like a good dude.
Yeah, and the thing is that one thing I noticed though when we first interviewed him, he was by himself, and then as interviews progressed with Kid Schofield anywhere, all of a sudden his dad was sitting next to him, right? It was usually when the kids are young, their parents are there to accompany them. And then as they get older, they kind of move out of the way. In this case, he started to join him in the interviews. And then as time progressed, he began to intervene in the interviews more and more, right? Didn't allow his own son to talk. Like he would take over the interviews. With Coach Malachi, he started to interrupt, right, the interview. And then he got in a heated argument because Coach Malachi called him a prospect. The same thing also the lawyer called him, right? We're not a prospect. We're a contender. Like it became this big thing, right? And then he accused Coach Malachi, which nobody believes this. Like he accused them of telling them at their house that that Kid Schofield was the greatest he's ever seen. I mean, I guess you get what I mean, but it got very heated, and they had a fallout because of that. I remember watching that, right? And now it got to a point where Kid Schofield not even in the interviews, it's just the dad. He's doing interviews, right, by himself, and just talking about Kid Schofield, and he's controlling the social media, posting for him, and all this. And And all I know is that he's a very likable kid.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason for anybody to dislike Kid Schofield. But if there's anybody that dislikes him, unfortunately, it is because of the dad. Right. And it's one thing if you get sick and you can't make the fight after all that talk. But when you start making accusations that I was poisoned, it was Snack, well, never mind. It was Eddie Hearn. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, I don't know what's going to, I don't even know if Eddie's going to just allow this or he's going to do a lawsuit. I don't know, but I don't know. All right. Well, we'll see what happens, but that is that. Okay. Any final thoughts on Poison-gate, Kelly?
No, it's just weird. The whole thing's weird, and something's off with that team. And Oscar needs to step his guys up. Oscar needs to get control of some of these situations around these teams. Worry less about the clapbacking. Worry more about getting your fighters in the fights that are going to turn them into stars.
So Suge Knight is the theme here, right? He wants to be on the videos and all
Up in the field. All these dads want to be all up in the videos.
Oh, Suge Knight said it. He's not the one that was in the videos, actually, just to correct the record. But
what about this theory right here? What if his dad poisoned?
No, I don't think
I remember watching a Netflix movie about the mom that kept poisoning her daughter to keep her home and then get donations from people because her daughter was so sick. So maybe we got a situation like that. I don't want to make accusations like that, though. I don't think
he did that. I don't think anybody was poison is such a strong word, but look, it's not that crazy, bro. There's a guy in a cart that was hospitalized. Virgil Ortiz.
Why would Shakur, fellas? Shakur is a minus 1100 favorite. Shakur is not even looking at Floyd as a threat like that. Why would Shakur poison him? What he wants another fight to fall through. I mean, why would he poison him?
He actually look, he actually tweeted out like some the stuff he was tweeting out, bro. Like, oh, no wonder everybody ducks him. Look at all the bullshit you got to deal with. What? I mean, I just don't. I haven't heard one opponent of Shakur ever, not Valdez, not anybody, say that you know that they dealt with shit with Shakur. I just haven't heard it. I don't know about you. I haven't heard shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's whatever. But I look at some of these. Eddie's a liar. What is done in the dark will come to light. Trust and believe. He says he has proof.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
So good for them for getting a late replacement, by the way. Padley, coming off the upset of Chamberlain, he's ranked bodies, but he is a minus 4,500 favorite. Shakur is against Padley. They needed somebody from the UK that they could fly over there pretty soon that was willing to do it, and I'm sure the Saudis paid him a handsome, more than a late replacement would normally get paid. For something like this to get over there, and that way they could just keep Shakur busy. And the fans win, of course, because we got an hour block of seeing Shakur decision. Somebody is a minus 4,500 favorite. You know you want to yawn. I just saw you fighting back a yawn when I mentioned Shakur's name.
Yeah, but when we come out here,
they gotta drop this to the opening bout of the. You can't have Shakur versus Padley as like the number 3 fight. This needs to drop underneath Virgil.
They're gonna make it the co-main before the concert. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna hit us with a concert, and then is there a concert, by the way, in this card?
I don't know. I hope not. But I always thought that Virgil versus Madrimov should be the co-main anyway, but it's not. It's like the 4th or 5th bout. So hopefully they move it up.
Well, let's see how that goes. But will it be a title fight? We're going to talk about all the fights here.
It is a title fight. Yeah.
I think there's no such thing as non-title fights anymore unless they're 10-rounders. So it just is what it is. So let's go over some of these fights, Alex. We'll breeze through most of them, but we're going to talk more deeply about some of them. Buatsi versus Smith. Ooh. I'm actually rolling with Smith on that one by decision.
I am too. I think that Smith's going to pull off the slight upset against Buatsi. I do. That's a tough one to call. There's a handful here that I'm
I like
really
this fight.
struggling with. But I do like Callum to pull off the upset by decision against Buatsi. I think we're together on that one.
Hey, and it's a great domestic fight. It's going to be in Saudi. I think it would have been a decent arena fight in the UK, but they're going to give it to us on the undercard of here. And look, I like this fight. I like this fight a lot, and I think Smith wins, but Buatsi's definitely could win the fight as well. So it's gonna be a very interesting fight. I don't know if it'll be exciting, but it'll be interesting, right? By the way, chat, give us what you guys think. Who do you believe will win, Buatsi or Smith? Put it in the chat so we kind of know how you guys are feeling about it, right? And then we'll talk about the other fights as we go on. So.
Yeah,
Zhang,
and I understand the washed people saying he looks washed. Callum, you got to remember who he fought, who he had his loss to, and then
he looked so washed before that fight.
Yeah,
he put a dude in a stretcher, bro. Right when he had moved up to 175, and you're right. Look who he fought. He fought Beterbiev, the only man to beat Bivol.
We'll see though. It's a tough call. It's a tough
but
call.
we're gonna get to that one. But I'm saying that's the man that beat Bivol.
Yeah,
so people picking Buatsi Smith is wash, says Nando. You know what I mean? Nando just throwing Smith to the wash, right? Let us know what you guys think, and then this one's a very interesting one. This is one of the toughest ones to me. Zhang versus Kabayel. All right,
another tough one.
That is a tough one. And I'm going to go. It's tough.
You like the younger fighter here?
I'm going to go with Zhang.
Are you?
I already said it, but I'm unsure about it. But I'm going to go with Zhang. And I think Zhang stops him. I think Zhang's going to fight with urgency and stop him. But that is not a confident pick. I'm not even betting on this fight.
It turns out he had a good 2024, right? Because remember he lost to Dubois.
Yeah.
And then we were like, and then to Parker, my bad. And then we were like, But it turns out Parker's on a hot streak. That's what makes, and I know you'll talk about this later, Parker Dubois tough, is those are the two of the hottest heavyweights in the sport right now. So Zhang loses to Parker, but it turns out that's not as bad of a loss as we thought at the time. And then he bounces back and knocks out Wilder. Kabayel, he's a bit more of a wild card in that this is a step up for him. I'll go with the seasoned vet here. I'll agree with you again, and I'll go with Zhang. That's tough.
Yeah, but like this fight is tough to pick the outcome and the winner. Like it's just a tough fight.
No,
this is a great fight. I'm just telling you guys right now. But
it's a great card. You got a handful of fights like that I don't have a great feel on what's going to happen.
Well, here's the thing, and Chuck Irishman is talking about the gas tank of Tank, right? Being ill, right? Did he see? Oh, trash. It's a trash emoji. I looked at the word ill, which would have been the fire line. Zhang's Tank is ill, right? But here's the thing, like, if you pick Caballero, isn't it likely to be stoppage? Because Zhang might run out of juice.
Yeah.
Like Parker was kind of lighting him up a little bit in the later rounds, but Parker's not a big puncher like that. So it's going to be interesting. Like this.
The other wild card here is Zhang's old. He is old.
Yeah, he is.
So when does he fall off the cliff? I don't know, man. He's a tough bastard. Zhang.
Like this fight is that
guy's got a hell of a chin. So if you are going to pick Kabayel by stoppage, Zhang's got a hell of a chin.
Well, look, I know he has a chin, Calix, but the gas tank isn't all there, and Caballel's not going to stop. So all I'm saying is, like, here's my advice to everybody out there: do not add this fight to a parlay. This is a parlay killer. Like it just is, especially parlay with outcome. Stay away from it.
This is going to be a card. Look, in these Saudi cards, you have multiple.
Don't do parlays on the Saudi card.
You have the most upsets on the Saudi cards because the odds are so close. These odds are so close besides the Shakur fight. So these are tough fights. Despite what people are going to act sure of these things, I'm not going to pretend to be sure
Yeah.
of what's going to happen Saturday. I think a lot of things can go many different ways.
Man,
I,
this fight is a good fight, bro.
it is. I'm intrigued by all of these fights.
I mean, this
besides,
is better than any heavyweight headliner that Top Rank put on ESPN.
you
Let me
could
say
have
that.
3 or 4 of these fights as a headliner on
Yeah.
any on these shows.
This is crazy, bro. Like look at Jared Anderson versus Calix's Plumber on ESPN main events. You know what I mean? But
And
since
then Jared will complain in the corner about the plumber is too tough and they should have given him somebody easier.
hey,
But
these plumbers are tough, bro.
I
Right?
don't like going the parlay direction on this card. I think you go the odds are so close, fellas, that I think you go with the one you feel the most sure about and you go heavy on it. I think that's
Look,
what you
all I gotta tell you guys, this is the one you stay up and watch. Like, you know what I mean? You get up early, you watch whole card. This is a hell of a fight. Underrated fight, in my opinion, probably the toughest fight to pick on a card. It's my opinion. But I know it's not the most high profile fight, but my opinion. Adames versus Shiraz. I know a lot of people believe this is a close one. Shiraz is going to destroy Adames. I don't think it's going to be a close fight. It's going to be an utter destruction. Okay, Shiraz is the real deal. That jab's going to be too much. I think it'll be competitive for maybe 2-3 rounds, and it's going to be all she wrote. I think Shiraz is going to stop him. I think he stops Adames.
stoppage or decision. It's Shiraz here. Once again, we're in agreement, which is scary. We're agreeing too much. But Shiraz, look, there are a couple of trends here. Number one, he's more in his athletic prime. Number two, fourth fight in 12 months. Fourth fight in 12 months for Shiraz. Second fight in 2 years. Second fight in 24 months or 21, 22 months for Adames. He's a PBC fighter. We all know what that means. PBC fighters don't stay active. What is typically the trend with PBC fighters as well is they tend to be overrated because they look better in that PBC bubble than they are when they bust out of that bubble. And we all know the trend when PBC fighters fight in these cross promotion fights and they get outside of that PBC bubble, they tend to get exposed to a certain degree. So I expect all those trends to continue here. And this is the one I'm most sure about all the close fights. And it's the one I'll be betting. I like Shiraz here against Adames.
Yeah. This is a look, don't get me wrong, guys. It's a good fight. And they still have to fight the fights. It's just my prediction that it's not going to be close, right? It doesn't mean that it's a bad fight. It doesn't mean I'm saying it's a crap fight. It's it's an important fight. And there you go, right? So, yeah, let's do this. This is another favorite of mine, and it's a tough one. Virgil Ortiz versus Madrimov,
Whew.
right? This fight right here, and look, Virgil's coming off a great win over Bohachuk, and Madrimov's coming off a great performance against Crawford. Some feel he won, right? Some felt it could have gone either way. It was a close fight. It came down to what the judges felt, right? And both of them, actually, to be fair, some people felt Bohachuk won, right? So both of them are coming off very competitive fights that if the judges saw it differently, it could have gone the other way, right? So they're coming off like some tough fights. And here they are right back on the saddle in another tough fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were supposed to get Madrimov Bohachuk, but that fight got canned, right? They give us their reasons why it was canceled, but I think we know why it was canceled because they don't want to ruin this fight. So here we are, right? Or run the risk of ruining this fight.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the same way about the Zhang. Like, I think this one's a little tougher than the Zhang fight even, but I'm going to go with Virgil Ortiz because I feel it's 50-50. And if it's 50-50, I mean, I'm going to go with the guy I like. So Virgil Ortiz, you know what I mean? But I'm narrowing Virgil to win this one. I think what needs to happen, right? Virgil needs to impose himself on Madrimov. He needs to pressure him, pressure, bust, pipes, right? I don't think he should try to box him from the outside. He's not going to outfence this guy. You're not going to outpoint him. You need to pressure him. I don't see Virgil winning the early rounds, but I could see him turning the tide, the pressure getting to Madrimov, who does not have a lot of fight experience in the pros. I know he has a fight with Crawford. That's great experience, but he doesn't have a lot of experience, not a lot of fights, I should say, right? And he's never dealt with a style, right, where the guys are going to put the earmuffs on and come forward to this elite level. I think Virgil needs to work the body. He needs to break him down. He needs to break his will, right, and take over in the second half of the fight. That's a lot easier said than done, because it's not like Madrimov's going to let that happen, right? And Madrimov could very well just outbox him and maybe even hurt Virgil, right? But that's going to be the big thing. Is Virgil going to get hurt in the midst of trying to apply that pressure? If he does, he's going to lose this fight. But if Virgil could weather any early storm, I think he'll take it. And dare I say, he may stop Madrimov late.
Let me ask you this question, follow-up question. Do you think this fight is for 154-pound supremacy? Do you think this is for number one? Because
look, Crawford's no longer around. Sure, Mal is basically retired, even though he said, I'm coming back, and we didn't hear anything from him again. I would argue yes. 100%.
Because right now, if you look at the ring rankings, they got Madrimov 2.
Yeah.
And then they got Virgil 5. Buhacic, I think.
It reminds me like when Floyd left lightweight and like Castillo fought, Corrales. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then like those were the top two guys. You know what I mean? So I just feel like even though Virgil's undefeated, yes, this is the fight. And then Bohachuk's in the mix, but I guess the winner will get him. You know what I mean? But I do think the winner of this fight, since Crawford's out of the picture, it is for supremacy, yes.
As long as there's nothing controversial, I think the winner of this fight would be my number one. And I would just elaborate on that. Bud's 13, 14 months in between fights at this point in his career. He's going to go at least a year without fighting at 154. I just don't believe in granting these guys exceptions when they move up and dare to be great at this point, because I don't believe that these guys are daring to be great when they're moving up in weight. I just think they're chasing bigger paydays. So the guys who are handling business at 154 and fighting each other, I think they deserve to be ranked higher in the rankings. And maybe Bud falls off and we just get ahead of it, right? And just knock him off that list. So to me, it's Madrimov. If he were to win this fight, he goes to number one, but Virgil as well. If Virgil wins this fight, which I'm predicting that he'll win the fight, he goes to number one on the list. And this is one of those cases as well, D-style, where belts don't matter as much. It involves nuance, right? We always talk about that. Yes. There are points when certain weight classes don't reflect the sanctioning bodies. They don't reflect the real environment at that weight class.
Yeah, a lot of it is circumstantial. So
politics.
I asked the one is saying Fundora, yes, 2 titles. Yeah, but Fundora was coming off. He got knocked out by Mendoza, a guy that Bohachuk destroyed. Right, that's number one. Right, and Virgil has a win over Bohachuk. Now I don't want to do the he beat this guy or whatever, but my point is, Fundora was put in a position to fight for those 2 belts. He didn't it's not like he grabbed one by beating a champion, then he beat another champion. So now he's a 2 division. No, like one of them was vacant, the other one was Tim Tszyu, and then Tim Tszyu was blind in that fight. Like Tim Tszyu couldn't see. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's how he won those belts. So I'm gonna use my my judgment and say, yeah, that doesn't quite put Fundora at number one. Right. And he hasn't done anything in a year. Right. So that we got to put that in perspective too. Right.
Yes. So I'll elaborate on that as well, because people will throw out Fundora, and there is a case. There's a case for Fundora.
I'm not saying it's not his fault. Did I ever say it was his fault?
No, there's a case. There is a case for.
Well, really quick, it's not Virgil's and Madrimov's fault either. Right. It's not their fault that their opponents weren't blind and they won that way. So I couldn't rate their win higher. It's not their fault. So we're not going to cast blame on Virgil and Madrimov either. Nando, all right? We're not going to do that unless you want to blame them. But go ahead, Cal.
No, I think beating Tim Tszyu is an achievement, and I think that he deserves the accolades for it. I do. However, it's what has happened after. His team has sort of talked him out of, gotten him out of more meaningful fights since then. So we're gonna go 12 months, and then he's gonna fight a guy that he shouldn't be in the ring with at this point. It's just his team once again not grabbing that momentum that he had. That is a good win. I understand the circumstances behind it, but a win is a win. So he gets the win. He moves to the top of the rankings, but nothing has happened since then. So to me, what I like about Virgil versus Madrimov, one of the many things is Madrimov's coming off a loss, debatable loss, and he hops right back in there. And he was willing to fight Buhacik, and then 2 months later, he was willing to do that, fight Buhacik, and then 2 months later, fight Virgil and have them both scheduled. Virgil is willing to go in there with a tough fighter and Buhacik and win a debatable decision once again in a tough fight where he was down in that fight a couple of times, and then hop right back in there. And this is the behavior I feel we should be rewarding, right?
Yeah,
Hop back right back in there with Madrimov. I feel like to me, these rankings too much are becoming overall resume rankings instead of like top 25 rankings in college football. What are you doing right now? Like, can you do something? You haven't done anything in 12 months. You're about to hop in there with this guy. But you're daring to be great and go up to 168. You're not going to do anything in this division for at least 2 years. All right, get him off. So this is what I'm saying is we need to be rewarding fights like this and say the winner of this fight, you're going to number one right now.
So is William Skull the second best super middleweight in the world because he has a belt? Like, is he by definition the best? Like, he's better than Plant. He's better than everybody else, right? William Skull numero dos in the entire super middleweight division, all right, since he got the belt.
And
he got the belt.
And it's not exactly leapfrog. It's not like, okay, Fundora beat Tszyu. It's a great win to me. I like that win. But what has happened since then? Virgil has fought Buhacik, and then Virgil's going to fight Madrimov. Madrimov fights Bud. Madrimov's going to fight Virgil. We need to be rewarding the guys who are fighting the fight. Fundora disappears. All kind of excuses as to why he's disappearing coming from his team. And now he's going to fight this mandatory that nobody knows, right? And it's not a good win. So in no other sport does a guy go 12 months without doing anything and just keep his ranking. What other sport? Name one. Name another sport where they don't do it in tennis. They don't do it in NASCAR. They don't do it in golf. If you're not doing anything for 12 months meaningful, you come off the rankings. We're giving these guys too much leeway, right? For doing nothing.
Well, shout out to those watching on Twitter through Calix's Twitter. Make sure you follow is Calix 2? It's Calix Boxing 2, right?
Yeah, at Calix Boxing 2.
At Calix Boxing 2. You could always watch the show there. And those watching on Calix's side, you could watch here as well. D-Style Boxing is the channel. And all right, all that good stuff. So I didn't quite catch your pick. You're picking who again?
I'm picking Virgil. And the reason I'm picking Virgil in this fight, in a 50-50 type fight like this, because it is according to the odds, and I think it is a close 50-50 fight, is I think activity will come into play. Madrimov against Bud in particular, way too economical. And that's why I didn't feel bad for him for not getting the decision. He was just very economical in that fight. He's an economical fighter, and Virgil's not going to play that game. Virgil's going to come after him. He may look amateurish in spots, but I think the activity in this fight is going to be rewarded. I think it's a decision fight, and I think Virgil ends up winning this fight 8-4, something like that.
Yeah, you know how I feel about Fundora? Like, remember when like Cambosos had the belts, but like everybody knew he wasn't the best?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's just, it is what it is. Like, oh, he's number one. He's number one. I'm like, look, he's not going to beat Lomachenko. Like, oh, but he has a belt. Like, he ain't going to beat him.
I think the Tim Tszyu win on late notice is a good win. I don't care about the circumstances. I do. And I think that's a win that should get him towards the top.
It does get him towards the top.
I think he earned those belts. But what I'll tell you is, you have to follow it up with something.
Is the win better because vacant the BBC belt was on the line? Does that by definition? This is my issue with, right? And there's people like Aztec And Nando, and I just pulled their leg. But like, here's the thing. In all seriousness, people make more of a win because like the sanctioning body just tagged like another belt to it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, but he has 2 belts. Okay, but he has 2 belts. But what are the why does he have 2 belts? Right? Whether he just had the WBO belt and you think that the Tim Tszyu win is enough to have a number 1, then that should be enough. You don't need the WBC belt. Like I just think you guys are giving the sanctioning bodies way too much credit, right? And this is one of the reasons they get away with so much shit, because they could just tag a belt to something, right? And you guys think it's greater than what it really is, right?
No, I'll just speak for myself here. I think it's a great win because
you need to represent Nando. What you need to do.
No, I think it's a great win because I didn't say it last year. I thought last year around that time that Tim Tszyu was arguably the best fighter at 154. It's how much I missed on this, right? I don't think I'm not going to do this thing where, oh, you know, he exposed Tim Tszyu and Tim Tszyu is weak. And maybe it turns out he's not anywhere near
that's
the fighter we thought, right? I understand that. But what I'm saying is I rank that win high. I have no problem with Aztec 101 saying, look, he should be number 1 based off of that. But for how long does that last?
Okay, I get that, but according to
how long can you hold that spot without doing anything? And I think if you look at pound for pound rankings, if you look at divisional rankings, we're giving these guys too much time to hold these spots. I think 9 to 12 months, you're not doing anything, and then other guys are getting quality wins right underneath you. Yes, leapfrog them.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
I don't care how many belts you have. I don't care about any of that. It would go.
Here's the thing.
If Benavidez stayed at 168 and he kept getting these good wins, and Canelo's over there not getting any meaningful wins.
But let me ask you this question. If Booker beats Fundora, is he number 1 in the division? Is he number 1?
Good question.
So if Booker wins, that's it. He's number 1, right? And I just like my thing is this, all right? He gets credit for the win, but we're judging it versus Virgil and Madrimov, right? And I just got to be honest with you. I just think Virgil and Madrimov are better fighters than Fundora. I think the Bohocek win was a big win for Virgil. And the fact that Virgil and Madrimov are now going to fight each other, right? A much bigger, more significant fight than a Booker fight, right? The winner of that fight in a rolling 12 counter year is going to have a more impressive resume than Fundora. The Fundora is about to run out of the year. And he's run out of juice. And look, we couldn't be objective and just say he beat a blind man, bro. Like that's just the truth. He couldn't see from both eyes. Like, it's just not. Speaking for myself, I'm not scared of people. Oh, because you just love Tim Tszyu or whatever people want to say. Like, it's just true. He couldn't see. Like, he was wiping his face every 3 seconds in that fight, and it might be unfair to Fundora, right? But it makes his performance not as impressive as like a Virgil beating Bohocek or Madrimov going the distance with Bud and arguably in some people's eyes winning. It's my opinion.
Yep, that's a hot division, by the way. Murdas Eliev's another guy. It's a tough division.
I mean, Murdas Aliev destroyed Tim Tszyu. So, like, should we put him, because he beat Tim Tszyu in better fashion, should we put him above Fundora? And Tim Tszyu wasn't blind in that fight.
He doesn't have the belts.
He doesn't. No, he does. He won a vacant belt.
Did he?
Yeah, IBF.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Should he be above Fundora? He did it more recent. He did it in better fashion.
Let me ask the chat right now, and we'll move on. Who would pick Fundora to beat Virgil Ortiz if they fought? Put in the chat. Oh, I would pick him to win. Do that. I want Nando to go on record and say he would pick Fundora to beat Virgil.
Leave
Okay,
Nando alone. Nando likes Virgil. He likes Virgil.
Nando is over here blaming Virgil because Tim Zoo was blind. Like it was his fault. Like you know what I mean? I'm just saying. Like you know what I mean? Well, it's not like I'm just saying. All right. But shout out to those guys either way.
I'm a hard working man.
All right. We debate on these shows, bro. We don't come on here. Yes, I agree, and we're not like clapping seals. We're not like De La Hoya. Like you know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? We're
I'll
not gonna
tell
be
you,
clapping seals and do
we
this and show. We don't do that dumb shit here. We actually disagree on shit. All right.
although I'll tell you, we picked all the same winners so far. We need to change that.
No, well, I mean, we can't just make up. We're not gonna pretend we disagree just to do it. But I get you. You know what I mean? You know what's happening? You're copying my picks.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like Calix is copying my picks. Like I don't know why we were agreeing all the time. You know what I mean? But these are tough fights, though, for sure. All right, here's the big one, or not the big one, but it's in heavyweight. Parker versus Dubois. This is another tough one. And I went on. I said this months ago, and I said on the show. I'm going to say it again when they made the fight, when it was announced. Parker is going to win this fight by decision. I got Parker winning this one. Cinderella man. All right. Both of these guys have been winning big upsets, by the way. Both of them have been upsetting the apple cart, both of them. But now, obviously, I believe Dubois is the favorite, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure he is. But I got Parker winning this one. It's a tough one, of course. But man, let me tell you something, bro. I think Parker is gonna go into a box him in the course of 12 rounds. I really do. And the thing that we didn't get to see in his last fight with Dubois was he does have spots where he runs out of gas and he's got to wait on the second wind. And Parker isn't going to stop. Parker's got a good engine. Parker has really good hand speed. Probably not as fast like as an Andy Ruiz, but pretty close. Parker has pretty decent foot speed. He's pretty quick. He's one of the fastest heavyweights out there. He's put on some muscle mass a little bit, so he's not as light as he used to be. But it doesn't seem to have impacted his speed. So that's credit to his strength and conditioning and coaches or whatever. But I got Parker. Let's go. In the words of Dubois, and I like Dubois. I like both guys, by the way. Like I really do. And I also think Calix. I think Dubois' success has gotten to his head. Like you know what I mean? I think he's cocky now. Like he's no longer like the shy guy that doesn't want to talk shit back to Miller or like that. Remember when Warren had to like encourage him to say something? Like that guy is no longer around now. He's cocky. He's arrogant. He's overlooking Parker. He's talking about who he wants to fight next. He wants Usyk. He's calling out Usyk after the fight. Like he could say all day, "Oh, I'm focused on Parker," but your actions show otherwise. I got Parker. Parker by decision. Give me Parker by decision. Let's go.
So you think Cinderella Man trend continues?
I do. Well, they're both Cinderella Man when you think about it, right? But Dubois changed, bro. You know what I mean? He's changed. I'm just saying.
He's changed. He's changed, huh?
He's a changed dude.
Two of the hottest fighters, if not the two hottest fighters in the division, outside of Usyk, right?
Yeah.
So going into the Zhang fight, it was like, oh, he's gonna lose to Zhang. Zhang's too powerful. And then same thing with Wilder, right? And he pulls off back-to-back upsets. He was super active, hyper active in 2023. Not so much in 2024, 11-month layoff. So will he be as sharp? I don't know. Dubois, also a guy with 3 straight victories since the Usyk loss, and he was a little more active. He's been more active. I think this is his 3rd fight in like 8 months. So once again, activity. That trend seems to favor Dubois. However, and I'll say this about Dubois too. You heard me say this multiple times. I didn't know about his gas tank late in fights. His temperament seems to be that of a level-headed guy who doesn't seem to be too high or too low during fights and keeps his head. but he doesn't seem to go after it at the same time and be aggressive in spots where he should be aggressive. However, I've seen him in the past couple fights. I think the gas tank being low angle narrative is overplayed. I think he's fine. I think his stamina is fine. He has a last second knockout on his resume. I think the Usyk loss is a quality loss. I think that he conducted himself well in that fight for the most part. It turns out Usyk's just special. I don't know. This is a tough pick. I hate to agree with you again, but I think Parker by decision. This is a division, a heavyweight division, in which Usyk, outside of Usyk, there doesn't seem to be a guy. Anthony
Right.
Joshua, Tyson Fury, they seem to be guys that you can beat, to me. And then everybody underneath that's moving up right now. I don't see a guy that can go on this undefeated run for 5, 6, 7 straight fights. So I think Parker, this seasoned veteran, is going to beat Dubois by close decision in this fight. Another tough pick. Another one I hate to agree with you, God. Another one.
I mean, what can I say? Now, by the way, they were calling my pick trash, so by definition, they're calling your pick trash too. Like, I'm just gonna put that. So look, and we're gonna get to the big one in a little bit, guys, but I get it. Like picking the ball isn't crazy, guys. He's the favorite. Like, you know, so if you think he's gonna win, that's great, right? He could win, but it's the heavyweight division. Anything can happen. We know the line. However, he could legitimately win, right? But I just think Parker, like Dubois, like they both have a similar story. Like they both got like destroyed by Joe Joyce. Like, you know what I mean? Although Dubois was actually winning before he had to kind of like pull out of the eye. And then they both kind of they rebounded and they came back stronger. And then Dubois had another kind of fall from grace against Usyk, but again he bounced back and here he is, right? And it's a tough one, you know what I mean? But I'm gonna go with Parker. You know, it's this is what it is. So I got Parker winning. Right? A lot of you were calling my Parker pick versus Zhang trash, but guess what? Like he won, right? Like it's just what it is. So it's going to be very interesting. Look, I don't think the power of the Boston overwhelm him because Zhang couldn't overwhelm him with his power. All right. Wilder cracked him a couple of times and didn't really do much to him. So it'll be interesting. But what I will say though, Calix, is like the winner of this fight, right, will obviously be the IBF champion. But isn't it better if Parker wins because at least we get a new opponent for Usyk, right? Like, do we really want to see a Dubois rematch? Like, is that like I don't want to see it again. Like, do you want to see it again?
No. I like the story angle of Parker continuing this run of upsetting guys and then getting that big shot at Usyk. I like that angle. And I hope that happens.
Don't we all do this? Like, I'm just saying, it isn't exclusive to these styles. Like, I'm not the only one that pulls up the winning tickets, but I'm just saying. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. You think next week I'm going to be talking about the picks I got wrong? No, I'm going to be bragging about the ones I got right. Like, you know what I mean? It is what it is. But this is going to be a tough one. Like, it's going to be a good one. So, all right, let's talk about it. Enough of the wait. Bivol, Beterbiev. We never spend that much time on an undercard, but this is a really good undercard. So, Beterbiev versus Bivol. Do you want to go first, or do you want to be accused of copying me again? Like what do you want to do?
I think we're going to pick different this time.
Maybe. So let's test it out. I'm going to give my short answer, and then we'll talk about it. Right? Let's give our short answer first. I got Bivol.
Ah, got Bivol too. I got it too. I got Bivol. Oh man. This has never happened. We've never gone this long just agreeing with each other. This is scary. I have a feeling we might just get them all wrong. This is
If
scary.
we get
We've
them all
never.
wrong, it will be called the HCP curse for life. Like, you know
How
what I
long
mean?
I've been knowing you? 15, 16 years. This has never happened. We've never agreed this much. The thing is, how'd you score the first fight? I thought I was okay with the
Beterbiev.
decision. I was okay with Beterbiev
I had it
winning the
7-5
close
better
decision.
beef.
But Bivol was right there with him. It was
Yep.
tight. I left thinking that Bivol could make adjustments that he's capable of making and executing. You know, certain fights you're like, yeah, that guy needs to make those adjustments, but can they execute it? Are they capable of executing those adjustments? I think Bivol is. Where he needs to be careful, though, is Beterbiev. You don't have that type of KO percentage. You don't just roll out of bed like that. This guy is scary. He's a scary fighter. So when the adjustments that Bivol has to make, he was way too on his bicycle at times. Not
Negative.
standing his ground. I thought where Bivol was going to have more success is he gets in that sprinter stance. He doesn't get in that L stance that fighters are taught to get into, where you have leverage on that. You turn the back foot and have leverage on your power shots. He's in the sprinter stance, and that helps him. He's stronger than he looks. It helps him to stand his ground, get in your chest, and fight off of his front foot, and not have a fighter like Beterbiev have momentum coming forward to where he would have success at a lot of spots in the fight and win those close rounds based off of activity and the more glaring punches that he landed. I thought he was going to be in that sprinter stance, getting low more and picking his spots and pushing Beterbiev back in spots as well. He's a smart fighter, Bivol. Beterbiev is as well, but Bivol is a versatile, high intelligent fight, and it shows up in the CompuBox stats. And I understand CompuBox is wrong a lot. They're not completely accurate outside of punches thrown stats. However, they're not wrong that often. This guy pops up in the top 10 at almost every category of CompuBox, almost in particular defense. His opponents are landing like 12% of shots against him. Power shots, they're barely landing against him, right? So he has all that going for him against good competition up in this point in his career. I just think he's the most versatile fighter in the sport. So if anybody is capable of executing on executing adjustments that they'll see on film, well, we need to do this. If anybody's capable of doing that, it's him. That's why I lean Bivol here by another close decision. However, where he needs to be careful is in order to execute this plan, he's putting himself in more danger. He's going to be trading a lot more. There's going to be a lot more. These combinations are going to be higher combination punches. Instead of 2 or 3, they're going to be throwing 4 or 5, and that's going to be danger for him. But if his chin holds up, I like him by decision in this fight. Bivol.
Yeah, the thing that people need to know about Bivol is this, and I've noticed in this post-fight interviews, look, I am big on accountability, right? So usually when fighters lose fight, especially if it's a fight that close, right? We get the usual, I should have won. I was robbed. I can't believe they did that. And look,
I had a rib injury. I had a hand injury. Somebody poisoned me. My suit was too heavy.
Yeah, we get a lot of excuses. Well, that one happened to be one where you got dominated, but in close fights, we have guys like Marquez, for example, right? Big fan of Marquez, but he was a sore loser, and he would walk out of the ring and fights that were 50-50. You know what I mean? Like, it could have gone either way, but he was robbed, and I win every round. Every round I win, and then he would just like walk out of the ring. You know what I mean? But look at his face, you know, like whatever, and he would just walk out of the ring, anger and whatever. But look, I felt that fight could have been scored either way. I happened to score for Beterbiev, right? But I don't know. Maybe when I scored it, maybe I was being because I tend to give the benefit of the doubt to the opponent of the one I didn't pick I'm sorry, of the opponent of the guy I picked, so I don't appear biased, right? So, and I think a lot of people do that. So I think a lot of people's scorecards are a little skewed. But I think we can all say it could have gone the other way, right? If judges saw it differently. I think Turkey saw it for Bivol. I think plenty of people, a lot of boxing minds saw it for Bivol. Others saw it for Beterbiev. Of course, there's people that feel they're right, only their opinion matters. But at the end of the day, it could have gone either way, right? But what I like is the accountability, and not just the accountability. It's not about oh look at him, he's such a nice guy, he's such a good sport. That's not why it matters to me. It matters to me because it tells me about his mentality going into a rematch, right? What did he say? I need to fix some things. I need to make some adjustments. Basically, I need to go back to the drawing board and fix what made him succeed and what the problems I had, work on those things and come back with a different game plan, right? And Bivol's that type of fighter. He's an high IQ fighter, right? And he's going to change the software, right? I told you guys he's the T1000. He's going to adjust. You know what? This is like, you remember the movie Terminator when they thought they took out the T1000, right? With the frozen truck or whatever. Remember that? Like they froze him and he fell apart. They thought it was over, but what did he do? He found the way to mold himself back up. He found the way to regroup, and then he came back to the attack. Now we're not going to talk about the finale of that movie, but because hopefully it doesn't end that way here. But what I will say is he's going to make adjustments, right? And I just think, all right, shut up, full text. But I just think, all right, the point ended right when he came back. That's it, right? But I just feel like he's going to make the proper adjustments. And I hear people saying like, oh, I felt like Bivol did everything he could in that fight. I don't think there's anything else he could do, but I feel Beterbiev could do more. I disagree. The only thing people got with Beterbiev is he was rusty because he hadn't been fighting in so long, but that's been Beterbiev's whole career, right? I actually feel like Bivol is the one that's going to can make more adjustments. And be aware of fighters, man. Be careful with fighters that are coming off a loss and have a high IQ and are going to come back and make an adjustment in the rematch, right? And I think that's going to be the difference here. He's going to make the right adjustments, and I think he's going to clearly outbox Beterbiev this time. And I think we're going to go to a trilogy.
This is what concerns me is Nando is bringing up these points in the chat, and it is a concern of mine that Bivol turns into a stink it out type fighter because that's who he is as a fighter, in that he's banking on Beterbiev being more aggressive, and I don't think that's going to happen. Beterbiev's IQ is actually underrated. A lot of pressure fighters, they're underrated. We talked about that with Virgil, right? How Virgil's an underrated boxer. People say that with Benavidez, and I'm coming to believe with Benavidez that he is actually underrated in other things outside of pressure fighting, right? So a lot of pressure fighters get a bad rap in that they're not smart. Beterbiev is smart. He is high IQ. I don't think he's going to go out there, especially after getting a decision, with being economical in spots. I don't think he's going to go out there and be more aggressive in this fight. So Bivol is going to have to bring that out of Beterbiev. He's going to have to fight in these spots and throw more combinations and get on his front foot. He's going to have to bring that out of Beterbiev. So if he thinks that he can do more of what he was trying to do in this fight, use more movement, break the fight up more, one, it's going to lead to a worse fight for us as boxing fans, because one of the frustrations for me from the first fight is it didn't get to the point where I thought it was going to get. I thought it was a really good fight. I never thought it was a great fight. It was close. It was close, and then it just didn't get there, right? I wanted to get there in this fight. And for it to get there, Bivol is going to have to show those adjustments. He's going to have to make it more high stakes right? Not as careful in this fight. And it's hard to do against a guy like Beterbiev, but I hope he brings that out of him because this is a legacy fight. This is a legacy fight. These are the fights people remember. People aren't going to remember that. They're going to remember these fights. And this is where Bivol can go to the next level. It's where Beterbiev can go to the next level. I want one of these guys to definitively take the fight off the table. Even if it's close, it's like, yeah, that was the guy right there.
Yeah, but Kelly said
great, and it was a great performance.
Well, what you're saying is, what you're describing, when people say the fight didn't quite live up to what I expected, that's because of Bivol's success. Bivol's success, right, makes the fight more negative. That's the reality, right? The more exciting the fight is, right? I know that's a blanket statement, but just in general, who do you think that favors?
Beterbiev.
All right, and the more of a stink joint it is, who does that favor?
Bivol.
Like, I think everybody could agree to that.
But it's counterintuitive, though. If that's what he's banking on, he could be wrong here. Number one, it could rub boxing fans the wrong way. I know he's not worried about that. He wants to win, but I don't think that's the way.
He's not a banker.
I'm sorry, I don't think that's the way to win this fight, to stink it out more. I think it actually favors Beterbiev. I think it's counterintuitive. I think it favors Beterbiev for Bivol to fight in this manner because Beterbiev will look better in spots. He throws harder punches. Those punches score better with the judges, and the more negative Bivol is,
like, here's the thing, Beterbiev. Look.
Bivol, this is what I'm saying. Bivol is capable of fighting Beterbiev's fight and winning the fight. I actually think.
Let me put some stuff out there, right? I'm going to go to different sports, right? Do you remember the undefeated season of the Patriots, right? Yeah. They went undefeated last game of the season. They didn't have to play anybody, but they played anyway because they wanted to go undefeated. They played the Giants, right? And they beat the Giants in a squeaker. Right? And then they end up playing that same team in the Super Bowl, right? Well, what happened? Well, just a couple weeks before, you played them, and you try to win because you wanted to end the season undefeated. So you gave them your best, right? So you allowed their coaching staff and their players to come up with a game plan to beat you now, right? You didn't know what adjustments to make because you beat them. Right? They know they lost, so they need to make adjustments to win the rematch, right? Example one, right? I believe that happened in that game, right? If we go to UFC, Randy Couture versus Chuck Liddell. Randy Couture dominated Chuck Liddell in the first fight, right? Randy Couture was interviewed one time, and they asked him, going into the rematch, what did you think? And he said, it's actually harder. He felt that in his opinion, it's actually harder to come up with a game plan when you won the first fight because all you could really rely on is doing the same thing because that's what worked and that's what won the fight. If you change anything, you may ruin your chances of winning. Whereas the loser already knows that what he didn't work. So he's going to have to make a change, right? And that kind of gives him an advantage. In this case, Bivol knows that what he didn't work. It didn't get him the win, and he acknowledges that. So he's going to make an adjustment. He's going to change something. Beterbiev is the one that needs to bank on something. What does he do? Does he just do the same thing, right, and hope that it just works again? Or does he make a change and it could be catastrophic because it may not work? He doesn't know if it works, right? Or is he going to do the thing that he believes is going to work because it did work the first time, right? So that is, to me, right, the advantage going in for Bivol, believe it or not. And I think we're more likely going to see a trilogy here. I think he's going to make adjustments. And I get the argument that Foltix is making about being sharper coming into this fight. Well, I also know he's a little older, too. I also know he's injury prone, right? So things can happen to Bivol in that fight. I'm sorry, to Beterbiev in that fight. Number one, just keep that in mind. I'm not banking on that, but it's a possibility, right? But I think Bivol is going to make the adjustments, and I believe, right, they're going to work. I'm pretty sure they worked on them, and he has a feel, Calix, for what Beterbiev brings. He now knows, okay, I have an idea what Bivol brings, where the Beterbiev brings, where he didn't quite know the first time. And he's going to make an adjustment accordingly. And to quote Bivol himself, when he was asked, How do you think Canelo would do against you in a rematch? And even he said, right? And this tells you about his mentality and about how he's a chess player. He looks at different scenarios. He doesn't just stick to one, right? And he said, look, Canelo's going to come in and he's going to make a change. He's going to make an adjustment. So he's going to bring something different because he has to, because the first time didn't work for him. And that could either make the fight tougher for me or it can make it easier for me. We don't know yet, right? It would depend on how it plays out. But that's the type of mentality this fighter has. He's going to make those adjustments. Like the T1000, I'm telling you, minus the ending, right? Because this time John Connor cannot come in and help. But I'm just telling you.
I'm confident. I'm confident knowing what Beterbiev I'm going to get. And like you said, the onus is on Bivol to make the adjustments.
Yeah.
This is what concerns me though with Bivol in this pick is what if he is who he is? What if he's not capable? What if he's not willing? I know he's capable of doing. What if he's not willing to fight that type of fight? What if he's not willing to stand his ground more? What if he's not willing to throw those combination punches that will steal the round late against such a big puncher? Because you've heard me say this in the past about Bivol, and it's the baffling thing about me and why he stays right outside the top 5 pound for pound for me. It's the frustration of watching him and saying, when is he going to take it out of 3rd and 4th gear? And maybe it just looks like that, right? It's right. Even in the Canelo fight, it still seemed like he could take it somewhere else. The Zerto fight, he's winning easy. It still felt like he can take it somewhere else. The Beterbiev fight, it felt like he left something on the table. It's the frustration of watching Bivol and saying, man, this guy is so great. You could even argue he's the best fighter in the sport pound for pound, but why is he right outside the top 5?
Yeah, but like
he doesn't understand performances. To him,
because I'll tell you why, and this is what, and I believe this. He's not going to reveal cards to you if he doesn't have to, right? He's dominating the chess game. He's not going to reveal moves, okay, just to show off. Like what that tells me is that he conquered and then he let it be, right? There's no need to keep showing your cards.
Okay,
that tells me he has more cards to show.
Okay, but what happens when that's not good enough?
Well, here's the thing.
Because in
the fight with Beterbiev, he went into a dark tunnel, right? He went into a dark tunnel in a fight with Beterbiev, right? Light at the end, right? So he knows there's a light there, right? And he passed this dark tunnel, right? Well, this time he's bringing a fucking flashlight, bro. All right, and because he knows there's an ending, right?
You sound like Teddy Atlas. You sound like Teddy Atlas.
He's bringing a ham sandwich, right? He's bringing like some potato chips and a flashlight. But what I mean is, this is what I mean in all seriousness.
He's bringing the hard hat.
What I'm saying is, it's no longer a dark tunnel. He knows more about Beterbiev now than I think people understand. He has shared 12 rounds with Beterbiev, and he went back to the drawing board, right? Right, and this chess master is coming back with a new game plan, is what I'm telling you. And he didn't, like, he has other things in his bag. That frustration you're talking about, well, that should make it scarier. That means he had more to show, but he didn't have to, right? But now he's gonna do it because he has to.
But one thing that makes me unsure about my pick is, what if it's not in his DNA? What if it's not in his DNA to go to that dark place? He's never been brought there before, right? What if it's not in his DNA? No. What if it's not in his DNA to
explain the dark place? So what's the dark place?
Where Beterbiev took him to where it's a close fight, and you got to punch your way out of certain.
The fight could have gone either way. So why isn't the narrative that he took Beterbiev to the dark place? Why did Beterbiev do more? Why didn't Beterbiev stop him?
Beterbiev won the fight. That's what happens in boxing.
No, I get that. I get that, but I just don't see it that way. I'm looking at this from more of a chess match like mentality. I'm looking at this from a strategy standpoint. And I think he had a strategy which he felt was going to work. It didn't work. Now, I agree with you. The judges gave it to Beterbiev, right? Since that didn't work, he's going to change the strategy. He's a strategist, Alex. he fights like a strategist. He doesn't fight like, like oh, I'm gonna go in there and I'm willing to die. Like, he doesn't think of it that way. He thinks of it, this is a puzzle I need to fix, I need to solve, and he's gonna try to solve it. That's the way he boxes. That's the way he fights. Once he solves the puzzle, that's the frustration you and Nando have. Then why do you do more? Because he felt he solved it. This time he thought he didn't quite solve the puzzle, but he felt he did a better job with the Rubik's Cube than Beterbiev did. The judges disagreed, and that's it. That's how he sees the sport. Mm-hmm. From a strategic standpoint, he's going to try to solve the Rubik's Cube. That's how he's looking at it, Kelly. It's a puzzle to him.
That's fine. And I do like that, unlike a lot of fighters who lose big fights, he owned it. And he said, no, I lost the decision. Good for him. We move on. Rematch. I like that. It does make me feel like he does understand what's going on. He knows where his head's at, and he knows what he needs to do. I'll end it with this, and it's why I continue to have these two guys outside my top 5 pound for pound, is they always leave me wanting more. Like the other guys who happen to my top 5 pound for pound, they seem to understand performances, and I got to put on a show, and I got to emphatically win this, right? It's one of the reasons Canelo has dropped on my pound for pound list, is he's sort of fighting that way now, to where I'm just going to get a decision, get my money, and get out of here. I want to see one of these guys say, I need to put on a performance here. I need to understand the moment. It's not just about winning this legacy fight. It's definitively winning it and making a statement to the world that I am the best fighter in the world. I'm not just the best light heavyweight. I'm one of the best light heavyweights that ever lived. And in their mind, they may think they're the best light heavyweight that ever lived. That's the statement they need to be trying to make. And that's what rubs me the wrong way about these guys, and why I didn't think the first fight was great is I don't feel like either one of them understood that moment and took it off the table. I want to see a great fight. I want to see not only a great win for somebody, but a great performance. I don't even care who does it. I want to see a great performance from somebody and understanding the moment that it's not just about winning. It's about winning emphatically and putting on a performance here.
Look, what I'll tell people is you need to understand the fight. Like I'll be the first one to tell you guys, a lot of his fights are boring. Like I'm just like, I'm not here saying, oh, you guys need to appreciate the sweet side. You guys know that's not me, right? But I'm not trying to pick who's a more exciting fighter. That's Beterbiev, right? I'm just trying to pick a winner. And I'm telling you guys right now, be ready for a stinker. Right? If you think you're gonna get Rocky Balboa versus Apollo Creed 2, or like if that's what you're expecting, keep in mind that Bivol is a problem solver. That's what he sees fighters like a puzzle, and he needs to solve that puzzle. And once he solves it, he'll play with his foot if he wants to, because he feels I already solved you, right? And I'm not going to reveal anymore in case you figure me out a little bit. Then I could switch it up, right? Like he's if it's not broke, I'm not going to fix it type of guy. That's just his mentality. He doesn't think, hey, Calix is bored to shit. I don't want Calix to sit in for 6 more rounds, bored because I'm comfortable with this, keeping it the way it is right now. He doesn't think that way. He just thinks I already solved the puzzle. It's a wrap, right? He's gonna go in there trying to solve a puzzle, and he has a game plan to do it. And I think in his mind that's his mentality going into this fight, right? Even when they ask about rematches with Canelo, he never says ever, yeah, I'll beat Canelo. You saw the first fight. He doesn't talk like other fighters. He doesn't say, oh yeah, I already beat him. You don't think I'll do it again? No,
I hate that mentality.
He talks like different, like, oh wow, and I mean, it depends what Canelo does in the first round, and if he does this, then maybe this, and if he does that, maybe it's this. And if he's more aggressive, then I would do that. And if it's, it could be harder for me.
How that accent goes.
It could be harder for me. It could be easier for me. It could be the same. It could be anything. I could see why the guy got divorced. Like, you know what I mean? The wife got tired of that shit.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, are you going to cheat on me? Look, it depends. If I walk in the hotel and the other girl in the elevator, like, what is her breast size? How high is she? What's her accent? Does she hit on me? Does she come at me in a way? Do we buy drinks? Like, I don't know. It depends. I can't answer if I'm gonna cheat on you or not. Like, it just depends. Are you gonna hit me when you get home? I don't know. Like, are you gonna act like a bitch or are you gonna be a good wife? Like, it just depends on the situation. And am I in a good mood? But anyway, but that's his mentality, bro.
It's too you can't be like that in this fight. You can't overanalyze everything.
Shout out to Mr. Rojas. Calm down there, buddy. Okay, Nando OG Blaze says War Bivol. See? I'm just saying. All right. But anyway, Calix, so you're gonna copy my pick and pick Bivol, right?
Yeah. So.
We're wrong about this. It's gonna be a red wedding next week. Like, people are gonna be shredding the shit out of us, but it's okay. That's a sport. People will bring it up in 4 years. Oh, you picked Bivol to win.
Hey, we picked several upsets here, so this is scary. This is scary. We picked a couple upsets. This could go bad.
100%.
I don't like that we have all the same picks. I don't like that at all. I might be changing my picks by Saturday.
Man. So you don't like that mentality, that chess player mentality, huh?
No.
Like, you don't like that problem solver mentality. No. That's what he is. So you're picking him to win?
Yeah.
So you're gonna switch?
Oh man. I've said Bivol to be Beterbiev for so long that, you know what? I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna go Beterbiev. I talked myself out of it in this show. Yeah. It's like therapy. It's like therapy. We had a chat and I'm changing my mind. I'm going
and follow him at Calix Boxing too, because he might change his mind again from here to the fight, right? So it's gonna be.
I'm going Beterbiev here.
It's gonna be very, very interesting. You know what I mean? Calix ain't a chess player. He's a checkers player, says full text.
That's actually true. I'd much rather checkers than chess.
Checkers is underrated.
I ain't got time to sit around and play chess. I ain't got time for that.
I don't know who Musha of the Bronx still is, but I'm gonna look it up after this show. Right? Any final thoughts, Calix? By the way, we're gonna have
he's the one that they put in the bathroom during the dice game because he was bad luck. He was bad luck. So they had to put him away in the bathroom. So he's saying that all your picks are going to be wrong.
Oh, I thought he meant the accent. Look at me, the way I was talking or something.
No. So he's saying that I need to change all my picks. I am changing my main event pick. I am going with Beterbiev.
Man, you're riding the fence hard, bro. Like, you're riding that fence.
That's right. I'm a politician.
But you're allowed this. Like, I wanted to write the fence, but we got to make picks. You know what I mean? There's a lot of fights I wanted to write the fence on. So that's just the way it is. So that is it, guys. Tomorrow, same time, Steve King will be on the channel. I'm not sure Calix will be on, but depends on his schedule. But if he's on, great. If not, then it is what it is. But tune in for tomorrow. This is D-Style of Boxing. Bivol for the win.
Man, that nigga was that Japanese guy was in shape.
Russian, I think he's like half Korean, but nonetheless, still he's in shape. Like, I don't even know this guy, but he is in shape. And that's all we got, guys. Peace. I'm out.
11, 10.